But I chose to use Lilith as my stage persona because, first of all, I'm a woman, and many of the bands out there who sing about her are men.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now. Sandie the Lilith, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I know life is hectic for you right now, with a lot of things going on. You're in the Netherlands right now?
Right now I'm actually in Denmark because I have to travel back to work tomorrow, and I work in Denmark still. I sail between Norway and Denmark, so there's a lot of traveling in my life. So yeah, so right now I am at my sister's house, yeah, waiting for my train to leave tomorrow morning.
Yeah. I mean, going from fronting a whatever label, we'll talk about that later, but let's say like a black and symphonic death melodic band or what have you, to being on a cruise ship, slight difference, you know, from one day to another. Is that easy for you to kind of make that switch, or do you secretly want to burn down the whole cruise ship?
Actually, as it is right now, you know, that there is really not a lot of money in making metal, or yeah, so we all in the band actually have normal jobs on site, but hopefully one day we will be able to make a living of this. So and when that day comes, I will leave everything else when it comes to normal work. But I must also say, I mean, I have been self-employed for like 6 years now, I think, no, 5 years, I think. And I had everything from beauty salons. I had, yeah, a few years ago, I had my own beauty salons because in my head I had like, okay, if I'm self-employed, then I will have lots of time for music. But it should show up later that I would be wiser when it came to that, because you really don't have time to both run two shops and also a band, you know. So
yeah.
It's actually why I changed my job position to being a stewardess instead, because when I sail, it means that I go 14 days on the ship and work full on for 14 days, and then I have 14 days off every single month. So this is actually one of the first jobs I had that works a little bit with the music, you know. So
yeah.
The plan is definitely to do the music full time, yeah.
You guys have been working hard, and you've been working for a long time to get here. I know that right now a broader audience is discovering you guys. You know, you're working with Napalm Records. You've got some exciting video clips out there, and some people that don't go beyond the surface might be like, oh, what is this overnight band that we've, you know, not heard of before? But in reality, you've been working on this album for over 7 years, really, and it's been a lot of work. So regardless of the fact that you have to work nonstop for 14 days starting tomorrow, is there a bit of a can't believe we're here?
Yeah, I must say I didn't really have a lot of time the last, let's say, 6 months to actually relax and reflect over this whole process. But
yeah.
Hopefully when the album drops this Friday, I will hopefully be able to step a little bit back, you know, and watch it a little bit from a distance and try to take all these impressions in, you know, and reflect over it. Because until now, I really didn't have the time, because everything just went so fast. So yeah, I really need a little bit of free time to actually breathe and, yeah, then take a look on this, yeah, piece that I spent so many years on creating, you know. So but yeah, hopefully it will come very soon.
There is an undeniable quality of production. A lot of time and effort went into thinking out what everything needs to look like. That's not necessarily because of Napalm Records, because people that have been following for a longer time know that you've always, from the very first start, I think, been thinking about how does this come to life? What's the vision for that? So does that mean that you are a little bit of a Steve Harris that already 7 years ago had like a bit of a game plan figured out, and you know, in X amount of years this is going to be the album, it's going to look like that, we're going to do this next? Or is it a little bit more of a natural journey?
I would say when I started back in 2015, we had a vision and we had a plan that this is either all or nothing, because some of my band members, they have been playing music for many years and they also played in other bands, you know. And so, yeah, they knew the game already. And it is really hard as a band, especially nowadays, to actually, you know, go forward, you know, and be bigger, so to say, because there is so many bands out there,
Yeah.
and we are almost drowning in the amount of bands all the time, you know. So I had this vision when we started. I really don't want to do a lot of bullshit, you know. I just want to spend all my money on this and spend all my time on this and just make quality from the start. But with that said, although we released a pilot sample that we mixed ourselves back in 2018, but the only reason that we did that was because we had a debut live show later that year. So I wanted to just give the audience something so that they could see, okay, what can we expect from this band?
Yeah.
But after that, when that one was released, we decided in the band we simply don't want to release anything more before the right quality is there, you know. So that's also why we, for example, choose to work together with Jacob Hansen, because he's really one of the best, you know. And I was just like, you know, this just have to cost whatever it would cost, you know, and just put in whatever it takes. I don't care. I want to sacrifice everything for this. So that is also a reason why the whole process became so long, you know, because I had a vision and I had a clear vision, but of course when you are an artist and when you work on art and music like this, the process is kind of dynamic, you know. New ideas always pops up during the way, and then you want to change something, and maybe you already made a track and then you're like, you listen to it a lot of times, you know, and then you get new ideas, and then you all of a sudden choose to break that whole track up and then start all over again, and maybe use some parts in another song even, you know. So it's very dynamic. So even though you have like a specific plan, there will always be changes during the way, because that is just the way it is with art, I guess.
With the resurrection of Lilith, and Lilith, a persona that we've seen channeled by metal bands before, for sure. Depending on who you ask, Lilith is either that, you know, the original feminist, somebody that stands up for equality, for the right to be heard, to be seen, to be taken seriously, and unfortunately also for a lot of other people, basically she's a she demon, you know, that's to blame for a lot of bad things, and for people that I don't think you and I are, but for certain people that believe in scripture, in 6,000 years, unfortunately today, not as much has changed as we would like it to change. So Lilith, biblical figure, yes, but very relevant today.
Yeah, for me, I mean, yes, and I also said this before, Lilith is probably one of the most well-known witches, demons, whatever female figures out there in mythology and in folklore, whatever, you know. So I never claimed that I was the one who invented her or anything.
For sure.
Yeah, but just to make it clear for people, you know, but I chose to use Lilith as my stage persona because, first of all, I'm a woman, and many of the bands out there who sing about her are men. So I thought, I want to use Lilith because she stands for a lot of these things that burns inside my heart, you know. There is, I'm especially inspired by the witch hunt from ancient days, you know, and because you can also draw a lot of parallels from that time to the present time, because you still see a lot of this kind of oppression around the world, you know, and there is still some kind of expectations when it comes to women in our society, you know. Here where we come from, probably there's a little bit different kinds of expectations than if you go other places in the world, you know.
Sure.
but yeah, there's a lot of aspects to it and a lot of views on when it comes to being a woman, you know. So because I'm inspired by all these things, I wanted to use Lilith as a figure who speaks up for all these women, you know, both from ancient time but also for the women nowadays, you know. Because yeah, the story that I use is the story from the Bible, or the story from Christianity, so to say, that Lilith should be the first woman ever created, even before Eve, you know. But yeah, she left paradise, Garden of Eden, because she didn't want to obey Adam. She wanted to stay true to herself, and she wanted a saying as well.
How dare she?
Yeah, how dare she, you know. So yeah, for me, in my personal life, or in my real life, so to say, she's not a person to me. She's more like a philosophy, you know, because I can relate to her. I have always been different myself as well, and I never did what was expected from me. I mean, I never wanted kids, you know, and I never wanted this normal life, so to say. So that's why I could relate a lot to her. So I figured, who would be better to use than Lilith, actually? I mean, so yeah, but I tried to give her a face in my music, because then people can probably relate a little bit more to her, you know, instead of just using her as the philosophy, you know. But yeah, she's just all around like a figure that I have always used, you know. She's the way that I see the world, the way that I am, so to say, or she's a part of my personality. And as I always say, I mean, you always know if you, as a woman, have a Lilith inside you, because it's a form of muse, you know, like a strong force who keep you focused here in life, you know, and keep you strong and make that you are not afraid to just be who you are, you know, and fuck all the expectations, you know. So yeah, that is why I chose to use her, and then I use her view in all my songs. Like, it's from a woman's point of view, because I'm a woman myself. So yeah, that is basically the reason behind it. Yeah.
All right, so let's go into the music a little bit, because there's a lot of parallels with the story as well, I find. Defacing God stands out not necessarily for trying to do things radically different, but by combining a lot of elements from different subgenres together. You know, there's as much Dimmu Borgir as Fleshgod Apocalypse in there, and sure, there's some arch enemy sprinkled over there as well. I think you've mentioned before that one of the drivers of that is not only the concept of trying to do something different, but just as simple as people with different influences have come together in this band.
Yeah, I mean, it were never our intention to try to invent a new genre, because I mean, it's not possible nowadays. I mean, you know, if every band should come up with a new genre, I mean, how would that even be possible? Yeah,
right.
And we are also very proud of these Scandinavian metal traditions, you know, and we really dig this genre. So yeah, that is, and also it's mainly my lead guitarist's style, this melodic death metal, you know. That is the style he has always been influenced by since he started to play the guitar in '89, you know. So yeah, of course, that is the main genre that shines through. But yeah, because we are very different in the band and we have a lot of different tastes, you know, and different styles, we were like, you know, the whole ground essence of being creative is that you are people, you know, and you just throw all your creativity in there, and then you see what comes out of it.
Yeah.
You can always adjust, so to say. But I must say, I think that the way that we made this personal and more, call it unique, whatever you want. I think it's unique, but I mean, it's a matter of taste. The way we try to do it unique in our own way we try to experiment, you know, with other elements that are not so common in this melodic death metal.
Exactly.
Because all these symphonic parts that we made are something more seen, you know, in the black metal scene or in the modern black metal scene. So yeah, and I always loved this grandiose style, you know, and I'm a huge film nerd, and I love films, you know, so this whole soundtrack element is just very important for me in the music, because it really sets a whole other dimension of atmosphere, so to say. And for me, this symphonic part also really make the tracks a way so you better can visualize in your imagination how this situation looks, you know.
Yeah.
That is also the way that when I write lyrics and when I write stories, I have so many pictures in my head, and I want to put a sound to those pictures so that I hopefully can make other people who listen to it feel the same thing, or at least see the same thing that I wanted to visualize in my lyrics, yeah.
Your music also tells the story, and I find from a musical perspective there's two distinct parts to the album. There is the first half is basically the ridiculously epic build-up to the moment that these three women unite, and then the second half of the album I find are a little bit more straightforward songs, a little bit more individual songs, and it almost feels like we're brewing, everything explodes as these three characters come together, and then they kind of unleash their whatever on the world in specific songs. Is that a right way of interpreting the album?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I like that it would be like, you know, a theme-based album, but I also like that there's a little bit of variation, you know, so something else happens, so to say. Because yeah, I could also write an album only about Lilith specifically, and then follow these three demons through the whole album, you know. But I also like, because I love history, you know, and I can really read for days because I find this witch hunt very exciting, you know.
Yeah,
there's many untold stories there still, so I like to pick more out of these stories, you know. For example, the song Death Followed Like a Plague is actually about the first woman in Ireland ever accused for being a witch, so to say. And this part happened back in 1324 already. And she was accused to be a witch because she was married 4 times. That's why I call her a serial monogamist in the song, so to say. And all of her 4 husbands, they died from a certain disease. I think it was the plague, but probably they didn't know that back then. But yeah, before her 4th husband died, he changed his will to her benefit. And the family and society and people around her got very jealous, and they couldn't understand why did he change to her benefit, so to say. So they accused her, and they wanted to execute her because they couldn't get around in their head that that it must be for other reasons, so to say. So, you know, so I just try to take a lot of these stories that are not so well known to put on this album to actually just make the point even more clear, you know, because there's so many examples.
Yeah. The world of entertainment is coming back. Cruises are back, which means that you must be already thinking about how you're going to promote this album in a live format as well. So what can you already share? What should we keep our eyes open for?
Yeah, I mean, actually it has been quite difficult to plan a tour to support this album because all the tour spots are already taken by other bands, you know, because everyone just wanted to get out there after the pandemic went over, so to say. So it has actually been, yeah, quite impossible to plan a tour right now. But the plan is in the beginning of next year, we will start out with a European tour, so to say. And I am in the middle of landing a deal with a new management and a new booking agency. So I actually don't know so much right now, other than we plan to do a few single shows after the album drops. And then we plan the tour so that we can get out there, you know, because tours are absolutely the most important thing when it comes to releasing a new album. I mean, that is the way that you spread it around the globe. So so yeah, a lot of things will happen in the future, but I just have to stay focused a little bit more to plan the rest, you know. So
yeah. Well, with the help of Napalm, I'm sure that will all work out, and that we will see you guys play, whether that's up here in Canada or we have to come to Europe or whatever, or maybe just take over those cruise ships and, you know, use that.
I'm sure we will come to Canada as well. I mean, that would be awesome. So I will do everything to make it happen.
Sounds good. Well, whether it's in Canada or in Europe, we'll see you at the show. And I wish you, first of all, a very safe voyage. But more importantly, even, I wish you all the best on a launch day that's coming up. And I truly, truly hope that you will find a few moments break, that you can step away and just take it all in and enjoy, because you're only going to release this debut album once. And I hope you get to enjoy it to the fullest.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Awesome. Well, it was my pleasure talking to you as well, Sandie. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. See you on the road, hopefully.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.